That just makes you sound stupid. Germans, stop doing it.
Oh my God.
Germany, we really need to talk. It was the 18th century classics scholar Richard Pawson who said, "Life is too short to learn German." Now, it seems that many of you Germans have taken this very much to heart and you've not bothered to learn your own language properly. But don't worry, Richie's here. I'm here to teach you how to speak German properly. Yes, I mean you Germans. This video is, of course, also going to be good for those people learning German who are going to come into contact with Germans and hear them making these common mistakes in their own language. So this is just my guide to those common mistakes and what to avoid. So buckle up and sit tight. It's going to be a bumpy ride. I have 15 of these common mistakes, 15 common mistakes that I have observed during the 11 gazillion years that I've been living here in Germany. 15 mistakes that Germans make far too often. And in at number 1 we have zumindestens. Zumindestens, an absolute guarantee to make you sound really, really stupid if you use the expression zumindestens. There are two main ways in German of saying at least. You can say on the one hand, you can say zumindest, or you can say mindestens, but you cannot say zumindestens. That just makes you sound stupid. Germans, stop doing it. Number 2, if zumindestens doesn't make you sound stupid enough, you want to go one step further, why not add a D to the end of the word eben and make it ebend. Yes, you heard me rightly, ebend, ebend. There's probably no other way of making yourself sound more stupid and ignorant than saying ebend in the German language. The word eben itself is a wonderful word. It's a very versatile word with very different meanings, and it's one that I would encourage German learners to incorporate into their vocabulary. It really does make you sound German, but don't put a D on the end of it because it will make you sound like a stupid German. It can be used, for instance, mal eben, to express time, or sort of speed or something. Ich habe gerade was gemacht. I have just done something. And you could also say, das habe ich mal eben gemacht, or you could say, kommst du mal eben rüber? Can you just come over here quickly? And also it's an emphasis word in arguments or something. For instance, you can use it as a standalone word. If I'm arguing, I think Lewis Hamilton is already proven to be the better Formula 1 driver than Michael Schumacher because he has achieved so much more at a younger age. And I just want to agree with that, and I say, eben, eben. And it's in that situation that you quite often hear Germans saying, ebend, ebend. Please stop, and please don't learn this if you're learning German. Number 3, and it's the difference between zeit and zeit. Okay, we have a difficulty in the German language that you can't really tell from the pronunciation if a word ends in D or T or even DT. So the word zeit, which is a verb, ihr seid, is exactly the same in pronunciation terms as seit gestern. And I've developed what the Germans would call an Eselsbrücke. I think we would say in English aide-moi. We borrow that from the French for whatever reason. So a little thing to help you, a little mechanism to help you remember which is right. Ihr seid ends in a D, and a D is a doing word or a verb. Ihr seid, you are. You plural, informal, you are. So D for doing word means that it's a verb. S-E-I-D, doing word, verb. S-E-I-T means since or for. Das mache ich seit Jahren. I've been doing that for years. Or ich mache das seit gestern. I've been doing that since yesterday. Ends in T, and T stands for time. It's an expression of time. Since yesterday. 4 years. Easy peasy. Moving on to number 4 then, and this one's a little bit pernickety, a little bit fussy, but I think some Germans do need a reminder of this from time to time, especially when they are writing. I wouldn't be so critical if this mistake was made during speech because it's very natural and it serves a purpose. I'm talking about indirect speech or reported speech. In German that would be the indirekte Rede. This is an absolutely wonderful feature of the German language that I really love, that involves the use of subjunctives to express that somebody else said something. It's like quoting somebody without the quotation marks. You use a subjunctive to express that someone else said it. So for instance, I was talking to Connie yesterday and she said Rot-Weiß Essen is her favourite football team. Literally, her quote would be Rot-Weiß Essen ist mein Lieblingsverein. Now you'll quite often hear in reporter speech when people are speaking colloquially, they would probably report this as said, Conny sagte, Rot-Weiß Essen wäre ihr Lieblingsverein. And it's not quite right. Wäre is the past subjunctive, and what we need is the present subjunctive because Conny said that in the present at the time. Conny sagte, Rot-Weiß Essen sei ihr Lieblingsverein, and not wäre. Wäre would mean she had said it was her favourite football team, but it's no longer her favourite football team, and I know for a fact that it still is. As I say, this does sometimes serve a purpose. If, for example, you're using the word haben, to have, sometimes there's no difference between, for instance, wir haben is the normal indicative form of the verb, and wir haben is also the normal present subjunctive form of the verb. So sometimes to express that it's a subjunctive and it's reported speech, people will use wir hätten or sie hätten. We'll let that one slip. But you know, if you're writing something, try and get your tenses right, Germans. Number 5 is, strictly speaking, no longer a mistake. This has been incorporated into the language as the language has developed, but strictly speaking, this was a grammatical mistake that the Germans incorporated into their language because they're lazy. I don't know why, but I try and use the older form just to, I don't know, sound posh and get on people's nerves, I suppose. I'm talking, of course, about the use of the dative case after the word wegen, because of or due to, instead of the original genitive. So instead of saying ich gehe heute nicht raus wegen des Regens, people would say wegen dem Regen. I'm not going out today because of the rain. Using the dative case nowadays is a lot more common. As we all know, der Dativ ist dem Genitiv sein Tod. Aber man gewöhnt sich an allem, auch am Dativ. Okay, number 6. This one really gets on my nerves. This is really... There's no excuse for this. And I'm talking about the use of wie instead of als in comparison sentences. Meaning, I am taller than him. Ich bin größer als er. Als er. Than is als in German. Not wie. And so many people nowadays use wie. Ich bin größer wie der. What? And then of course you can ramp this up to a whole different level and say both together, ich bin größer als wie der.
Oh mein Gott!
Number 7 is a tricky one, especially for people who have English as their mother tongue, because I would translate both of these things that need to be defined quite specifically in the German language as meaning the same. I'm talking about dasselbe and das gleiche. There is a very key difference between das gleiche und dasselbe in German, in that gleich. Gleich means equal and equal to or equivalent of, whereas zelbe, dasselbe, is the same, the very same. You can hear it in there. It comes from selbst, it's related to the word selbst, self. It is itself, it is the very same thing. So if I say, ich habe das gleiche Auto wie der Nachbar, that means I have the same car as my neighbour. That means that is correct. This is das gleiche Auto. I haven't got the very same car. We each have our own car, but mine is exactly the same model, except exactly the same colour, exactly the same extras or whatever. But if I said, ich habe dasselbe Auto, that would mean we are sharing the same car. And this is something the Germans get wrong all the time. They say, ja, ich habe dasselbe. Ich habe denselben Anzug. Ich habe dieselben Blumen zu Hause. No, you haven't got the same flowers at home. These are my flowers. These flowers are mine. You have die gleichen Blumen hast du zu Hause. So remember, gleich, equal in every way, but separate. Dasselbe, the same, the very same, the exact same thing. Number 8, and here is a written mistake that Germans often make. They fail to distinguish between zu Hause, and zu Hause. This one, all written together in one word, with a capital letter at the beginning. Mein Zuhause, that's my home. And this one, these two here mean the same thing. They're interchangeable. You can use them to mean the same thing. It means at home. Ich bin zu Hause. Ich bin zu Hause. Doesn't matter if you write it like that or like that. They're both right. But don't say ich bin zu Hause. You are not your home. We are up to number 9 now, and this is another very common mistake that I absolutely see no reason for. This is simple stuff. Come on, Germans, pull yourself together. I'm talking about describing something as being of the colour orange. In German, the colour orange is orange. It's borrowed from French. It's a what Germans would call a Fremdwort, and it leads to some confusion when people try and use it as an adjective, because you absolutely cannot say, ich trage ein orangenes Kleid. Orangenes gibt's nicht. Orangenes, orangener, orangene, orangenen. These words don't exist. Orangefarben. Mein Kleid ist orangefarben. Ich trage ein orangefarbenes Kleid. That's the way to do it. And the same goes for rosa. Rosafarben. Die Farbe ist rosa. Aber ich trage ein rosafarbenes Kleid. I'm actually wearing jeans and a t-shirt and not wearing a dress. But you know what I mean. Das ist zwar ein schwarzes T-Shirt, aber ich habe kein orangenes Kleid hier drin. I haven't got an orange dress in here at all, but you know what I mean. Where is my orange Oh, sorry. Where were we then? Number 10, yes, and this one pains me just to have to read it out. Germans, it's ich bin der Einzige and not ich bin der Einzigste, or das ist das Einzigste. You can't go any further than being the only one. Der Einzige is the only one. Das Einzige is the only one. Die Einzige, she is the only one. You can't go any further than being the only one. You can't be einzigst. There's no Steigerung. Ihr geht mir so auf den Sack damit. Und ich bin nicht der Einzige, den das nervt. Well, thank you very much if you have made it this far to the end of this video, especially indeed if you are one of my German viewers, one of my very many German viewers, because I have been delicately or not so delicately yanking your chain all the way through, pulling your leg, as we say. It's all meant in good spirit, and I know that my viewers are very intelligent, very literate, very eloquent German speakers, and I'd like to encourage you to also write down in the comments down below, write a comment which mistakes that are commonly made that you hear around you every day in Germany. Which ones have I left out? What have I forgotten? What are your favourites, or rather what are your most hated mistakes that Germans made? What really grates you? What can't you stand when people make those mistakes? I'd love to hear your additions to this video down below. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. At this point, I'd also like to thank from the bottom of my heart all my patrons on Patreon, all the people that support me with a little monthly donation on Patreon. If you're interested in that and some exclusive content, the link is down in the comments also. Otherwise, I'll see you back here on YouTube where I am regularly. Thank you very much for your support. See you in the next one. Macht's gut, Leute!